In the rhythmic heart of Trinidad and Tobago, where music echoes through the hills and carnival drums pulse with history, rose a voice that was more than melody. It was a movement, a woman who defied odds, broke boundaries, and rewrote the rules of calypso. Her voice didn't just entertain, it challenged, healed, and awakened. Her name was Singing Sandra, but she was more than a name. She was a spirit, a force, a queen with a message. Born on December 10th, 1957, in the culturally rich yet economically struggling area of East Dry River in Port of Spain, Sandra Des Vignes-Millington entered a world where struggle was routine, but strength, especially among Black Trinidadian women, was inherited. Raised in Morvant, a tough inner-city neighborhood with vibrant culture but harsh realities, Sandra's early life was a story of survival. She was an only child, raised solely by her mother. Her father remained a mystery, someone she never met. But in that absence, she found the presence of resilience. From a young age, she sang, not on grand stages, but in local community circles, schoolyards, and little theatrical performances. She found joy in music and acting, tools she would later weaponize to fight injustice. Yet life wasn't smooth. Sandra battled behavioral issues. She struggled with school attendance and eventually dropped out before completing formal education. But hardship doesn't silence destiny. It refines it. She worked various low-wage jobs in her 20s, waitress, cleaner, clerk, holding down anything that could help her and her mother survive. A spiritual journey. At age 15, Sandra was baptized into the spiritual Baptist faith, an Afro-Caribbean tradition blending African rituals with Christianity. That baptism wasn't just religious, it was transformational. She felt connected to something deeper. Later, she embraced the Orisha tradition, drawn to the ancestral power and African roots it celebrated. That spiritual journey would seep into her music. Her lyrics often vibrated with divine purpose, ancestral pride, and the fiery confidence of someone who knew where she came from. Her spirituality made her fearless. She wasn't just performing music, she was channeling it. And soon, the world would hear. 1984 marked the moment fate tapped her shoulder. Dr. Zhivago, a calypsonian, approached her with 2 songs and invited her to perform. She wasn't a professional singer at the time, but the fire in her voice was undeniable. A year later, in 1985, she entered the world of Carnival by joining the Mighty Sparrows Youth Brigade tent, a proving ground for young calypsonians. It was a male-dominated space, thick with competition and bravado. But Sandra, she walked in with soul, story, and fire. In 1987, she set the tent and the country on fire with her unforgettable anthem, Sexy Employees, more popularly known as Die With My Dignity. The song became a battle cry for working-class women facing exploitation and harassment in the workplace. If I can't get a job with dignity, I rather stay home with my sanity. That chorus wasn't just catchy, it was revolutionary. She won the National Calypso Queen title and the Saint Martin Queen of the World crown. A star was born. Not just a star, but a warrior in a gown and a head wrap. Sandra, the socially conscious queen. The 1990s saw Sandra's flame burning brighter. She wasn't just another carnival act, she was a voice of the people. In 1992, she won the Carifesta Monarch and the Calypso Queen of the World titles. That same year, she graced the stage at Reggae Sunsplash, expanding her influence beyond Trinidad to international audiences. Her music wasn't sugar-coated. It wasn't meant to make you dance alone. It made you think, feel, reflect. She sang about hunger, broken homes, urban violence, political betrayal, gender inequality, and racial injustice. And still, her tone was melodic, her rhythm captivating. Later, she united with fellow female calypso titans Lady B, Tigress, and Marvelous Marva to form the United Sisters, a female supergroup breaking every glass ceiling in sight. Together, they embodied sisterhood, solidarity, and strength. In 1997, Sandra's voice of nation-building earned her the Best Nation-Building Song Award for One Destiny, One Heart, a call for unity in a divided land. The Calypso Monarch. The Calypso Monarch competition is the highest crown a calypsonian can wear during Trinidad's Carnival. In 1999, Sandra made history again, becoming only the second woman after Calypso Rose to win the title. Her performance was unforgettable. With Song for Healing and Voices from the Ghetto, she became the lyrical balm to a broken society. I feel the pain, I see the strain of the youth in Laventille. She was singing truths that politicians ignored. She was exposing poverty, addiction, crime, not from a pedestal, but from lived experience. In 2000, she placed third. In 2001, she came in fifth. But in 2003, she did what no woman had ever done before, won the Calypso Monarch title a second time. Her pieces that year, For Whom the Bell Tolls and Ancient Rhythm, were lyrical grenades. For whom the bell tolls, it tolls for you, it tolls for justice overdue. Ancient Rhythm paid tribute to the African diaspora, celebrating Black identity, cultural pride, and historical memory. Lifestyle of a lyrical warrior. Singing Sandra didn't live a flashy life. She wasn't about limelight. She was about legacy. She poured herself into her community, into mentoring young artists, into spirituality and activism. She walked with grace and fire, often wrapped in African attire, her head high, her spirit grounded. Her Orisha beliefs connected her to something deeper: ancestors, roots, heritage. She didn't have millions in the bank, but she was rich in soul. She didn't crave superstardom, she craved truth. And through all her performances, she kept reminding her audience, I will die with my dignity. And indeed, she lived every verse of that promise. Death of a Queen. On January 28, 2021, the voice that once shook tents into silence was silenced forever. At 63 years old, Singing Sandra passed away, leaving behind a grieving nation and an indelible legacy. Tributes poured in from every corner of Trinidad and the wider Caribbean. Calypsonians, feminists, scholars, and fans mourned. Government officials recognized her as a national hero. Carnival tents went quiet. Streets bore her songs. Radios played her anthems. She had become an ancestor. Singing Sandra didn't just win crowns, she shattered ceilings. She inspired generations of women to take the mic unapologetically. She proved that a woman in Calypso didn't have to be soft, pretty, or romantic. She could be loud, angry, political, powerful, and still be loved. Her music is still studied in Caribbean classrooms. Her lyrics still echo in protest chants. Her spirit still roams carnival tents. She may have died, but she lives on in every voice that dares to speak truth to power. So, who was Singing Sandra? She was a dropout who became a national icon, a single mother's child who became the voice of a people, a spiritual soul in a secular world, a woman who chose to walk in fire and never flinch. She sang for healing. She sang for justice. She sang for dignity. And she made sure her people never forgot the power of their own voice. Long live the rhythm. Long live the message. Long live Singing Sandra. Please subscribe for more.